The morning sun was dull behind a blanket of gray clouds. The wind was quiet, carrying a dry scent of dust and metal. In a small army camp near the edge of the border, a soldier named Rafi sat inside a dim cell made of old bricks and cold iron bars. His uniform was torn, his boots were covered with dirt, and his hands were tied with a thick rope. The guard outside the cell did not speak a word. He only looked straight ahead, avoiding Rafi's eyes. Rafi had been a loyal soldier for 10 years. He had joined the army when he was only 19, believing that service would bring pride and purpose. He had faced many battles, and in each mission, he was known for his courage and honesty. The men respected him and the officers trusted him. But all that changed a week ago when a secret report accused him of betraying his own unit. No one knew how the message had spread. The report claimed that Rafi had shared coordinates of a patrol route with enemy scouts, leading to an ambush that cost several lives. When Rafi heard the accusation, his heart sank. He tried to defend himself, saying he was with his K-9 partner Leo on a rescue mission that same night. But there was no proof, and no one wanted to listen. The court-martial was quick. The officers spoke in low voices and avoided his gaze. By evening, the decision was made. He was sentenced to death for treason. Rafi did not cry. He sat in silence as the verdict was read. His eyes did not show anger or fear, only deep confusion. He could not understand how everything had turned against him so suddenly. The only thing he thought of that night was Leo. The German shepherd had been his companion for 5 years, trained beside him, fought beside him, and saved his life more than once. Leo was more than a dog. He was family. In the small hours of the night, Rafi sat against the wall, whispering softly to himself. He remembered the first day he met Leo. The young pup had been nervous but brave. Rafi had trained him with patience and care. Together, they had learned signals, hand movements, and commands. Leo had become the most trusted K-9 in the unit. During every patrol, Leo walked beside Rafi, alert and steady, as if he understood every thought in his partner's mind. The next morning, the camp woke to the sound of boots and shouted orders. Soldiers moved about, preparing for another patrol. Rafi remained locked in his cell, waiting for what was to come. A young guard named Amir stood watch outside. Amir had served under Rafi before. He respected him deeply and struggled to believe the accusation. But he could not disobey orders. He kept quiet, though his heart was heavy. Around noon, the camp commander, Major Tariq, came to see Rafi. The commander was a tall man with a firm face and cold eyes. He stood by the bars and looked down at the prisoner. Rafi stood up slowly and saluted. "Sir, I still stand by my word," Rafi said quietly. "I did not betray the unit. Please at least allow me to see Leo one last time." The major stared for a moment. "Your request will be considered," he said without emotion, then turned and walked away. Rafi knew it was not a promise, but it gave him a small spark of hope. That night, rain began to fall. The camp lights flickered in the dark as thunder rolled over the hills. Inside the kennel, Leo lay awake. The dog could sense something was wrong. He had not seen Rafi in days, and every sound made his ears twitch. When he heard footsteps nearby, he lifted his head. It was Amir. The young guard came quietly, carrying a small piece of meat in his hand. "Hey, boy," Amir whispered, pushing the food through the cage. Leo wagged his tail but did not eat. His eyes searched behind Amir as if expecting Rafi to appear. Amir sighed. "He misses you, old friend," he said softly, glancing toward Rafi's cell in the distance. Morning came again. Rafi's execution was set for the next day. The camp was silent as word spread. Some soldiers felt uneasy. They remembered Rafi's bravery, how he once pulled a wounded comrade out of enemy fire. Others whispered that maybe the report was wrong, but no one dared speak aloud. Orders were orders, and silence was safer than truth. In his cell, Rafi was calm. He had accepted his fate, but his heart was heavy with one final wish. He wanted to see Leo again. The thought of leaving without saying goodbye to his companion hurt more than the fear of death. He sat with his back straight and eyes closed, recalling every mission they had shared. The night they crossed a stormy river. The time Leo found a hidden mine before it exploded. The day Leo jumped in front of a bullet to save another soldier. Every memory was bright in his mind. Later that evening, Amir came with food. Rafi looked up and smiled faintly. "Amir, I know it is wrong to ask, but can you do one thing for me?" he said quietly. Amir hesitated. If it is within my power, sir. Bring Leo to me once before tomorrow, Rafi said. I want to look into his eyes. That is all I ask. Amir looked around nervously. If the commander finds out, I will be punished. I know, Rafi replied. But please, he will understand me. He always does. Amir's throat tightened. He nodded once, then left in silence. The sky was dark again by the time Amir returned. He moved carefully, unlocking the kennel gate. Leo stepped out, ears alert but calm. Amir led him through the shadows to the far end of the camp where the prison stood. The rain had stopped and the air was cool and still. When they reached the cell, Rafi was already standing near the bars. His face lit up when he saw Leo. Good boy, Rafi said softly. You came, Leo barked once, then pushed his head through the bars, licking Rafi's hands. The soldier dropped to his knees and held the dog's face gently. His fingers brushed the familiar fur, and for the first time in days, his eyes filled with tears. You always believed in me, Rafi whispered. Even when no one else did, Leo whimpered, pressing closer. Amir stood a few steps away, watching the two with silent respect. He could see the deep bond between them, stronger than any order or rule. Rafi looked at Amir. Thank you, he said. You have given me peace. Amir lowered his head. You deserve more than this, sir, he said quietly. Rafi smiled sadly. Maybe one day the truth will come out. Until then, I trust you to take care of him. Leo barked again, his tail moving slowly. He did not understand the words, but he could feel the sadness in Rafi's voice. For a long moment, the three stood there in silence, the world around them forgotten. Then Amir whispered, We should go before someone sees us. Rafi nodded. Goodbye, my friend, he said to Leo, touching his forehead gently. Be brave. As Amir led the dog away, Rafi watched until they vanished into the night. His heart ached, but his soul felt calm. He had seen his companion one last time, and that was enough. The next morning, as the sun rose again, the camp prepared for the execution. But fate had something else planned, something no one could predict. The next morning was cold and quiet. The camp was still, and the air felt heavy. Soldiers moved around with slow steps, their faces showing unease. Everyone knew that Rafi's time had come. The sentence was to be carried out at sunrise. The firing squad had been chosen, and the ground had been marked. No one spoke about it openly, but the silence itself carried the weight of what was about to happen. Inside the small prison cell, Rafi sat on the floor with his back straight and his eyes open. He had not slept much. The visit from Leo had filled his heart with warmth, but it had also deepened his sadness. He had accepted death, yet something inside him still whispered that this was not how his story was meant to end. He had lived his life for honor and truth, and now he would die under a false name of betrayal. As the first light touched the horizon, the heavy metal door opened. Major Tarek entered with 2 guards behind him. His face was calm and unreadable. Rafi, he said in a flat tone, it is time. Rafi stood up and saluted. Yes, sir, he said. His voice was steady. He did not beg, nor did he argue. He walked forward with quiet pride. The guards tied his hands again, though he did not resist. Outside, the ground was damp from the night rain. A wooden post had been fixed in the center of the open area. A small crowd of soldiers stood around, watching in silence. Amir was among them. His heart pounded heavily in his chest. He had not slept either. All night he kept thinking about what Rafi had said, and about the promise he had made to care for Leo. When Rafi was brought to the post, the morning wind brushed his face. He looked around once and then lifted his eyes to the sky. The clouds had parted slightly, and a pale beam of sunlight fell across the field. It looked peaceful, almost gentle. Rafi's mind filled with memories. His training days, his friends, and Leo running beside him through the grass. The soldiers raised their rifles. The command was given. Amir clenched his fists. The moment froze in his heart. Then the shots echoed across the camp. Birds rose into the sky. Rafi's body fell still. His head bowed slightly forward, his face calm as if in sleep. The camp remained silent for a long time. When it was over, the soldiers walked away quietly, and the ground was left empty. Amir stayed behind until the others were gone. His eyes burned, but he held his tears. He stepped closer and looked at Rafi one last time. I will keep my word, sir, he whispered. That evening, Amir went to the kennel. Leo was restless, pacing in circles, barking at every sound. He could feel something had changed. When Amir came near, the dog stopped and looked straight at him. Amir opened the gate slowly and knelt down. "He is gone, boy," he said softly. "But I promised him I would take care of you." Leo made a low sound like a whine mixed with confusion. Amir placed a hand on his head. "You were his best friend. Now you are my duty." The next day, Leo refused to eat. He lay beside the fence, staring toward the prison yard as if waiting for Rafi to return. Days passed, but nothing changed. He would not play, would not bark at the guards, and would not sleep properly. Amir tried everything, fresh food, long walks, gentle words, but Leo stayed quiet. It was as if his heart was tied to a place that no longer existed. A week later, the camp returned to its routine. Patrols went out, reports were filed, and the commander acted as if the incident had closed. But inside the hearts of many soldiers, doubt still lingered. Some spoke in whispers, saying that Rafi might have been innocent. They remembered his loyalty and bravery, the way he never spoke ill of anyone, the way Leo used to follow him without hesitation. They wondered if the truth had been buried with him. One night, Amir was sitting near the campfire with a few soldiers. The talk was low, mostly about supplies and weather. But one of them, a man named Salim, spoke in a quiet tone. "You know, before that ambush happened, I saw Rafi in the old radio tent. He was fixing a signal device that kept failing. He told me the frequency was jammed." Amir looked up sharply. "When was that?" "The night before the attack," Salim said. "He was trying to fix the signal, but another officer came in and told him to leave it. Said it was already handled." Amir frowned. "Which officer?" Salim hesitated. "Lieutenant Imran," he said after a pause. "But don't say I said that. I don't want trouble." Amir's mind began to race. He remembered that Imran had been the one who first reported the message that accused Rafi. He also remembered that Imran was missing during the time of the ambush, claiming he had been injured. The thought settled like a stone in Amir's chest. Could it be that Rafi had been framed? That night, Amir could not sleep. He went to see Leo. The dog lifted his head when Amir entered the kennel. "I think I know what happened," Amir said quietly. "Your friend was not a traitor. He was betrayed." Leo's ears twitched as if he understood. Amir sighed. "But I have no proof yet. If I speak, they will silence me too. I must be careful." Over the next few days, Amir began to observe. He watched Imran during briefings, noting his nervous movements and short answers. He noticed that Imran avoided the radio tent completely. One evening, Amir searched the storage area under the tent, pretending to clean. There, hidden behind an old crate, he found a small metal box. Inside were a few papers and a coded radio chip. Amir's heart beat faster as he looked closer. The documents were signal logs showing outgoing transmissions on the night of the ambush, sent from the camp's own radio system. The signature on them was not Rafi's, it was Imran's. Amir knew what this meant. Rafi had been innocent. He had died for someone else's crime. He felt a wave of anger and sorrow. He took the papers and hid them under his jacket. As he left the tent, he heard footsteps. Imran appeared from the corner, his eyes narrowing. "What are you doing here?" he asked sharply. "Cleaning," Amir replied quickly, keeping his voice steady. Imran stepped closer, his eyes suspicious. "Stay out of here," he said. "This area is restricted." Amir nodded and walked away, his heart pounding. He knew Imran was watching him now. That night he went to the kennel again. Leo stood and walked toward him, tail low but alert. "I found it," Amir whispered, kneeling beside him. "I found proof that Rafi was innocent." Leo barked softly, a low sound that echoed in the still air. Amir smiled faintly. I will not let his name be forgotten. But Amir also knew that exposing the truth would not be easy. Major Tariq trusted Imran. If Amir went directly to him, he might be punished before he could explain. He needed a plan. He decided to wait until morning to make his move. Before leaving the kennel, Amir looked at Leo again. "Stay ready," he said. "Tomorrow everything will change." That night the camp was silent except for the wind moving through the tents. Amir lay awake, thinking about the papers hidden under his blanket. He knew what he had to do. Rafi's honor had to be restored, and the man who caused his death had to face the truth. As dawn approached, the first rays of light touched the camp again, the same light that had once fallen on Rafi's final morning. But this time, the sun was rising for justice. Amir could feel his heart pounding as he moved quietly through the camp. The papers he had found were hidden securely under his jacket. Each step had to be careful. One mistake could cost him everything. The early morning mist made the camp look even more silent and empty than usual. Soldiers were starting their routines, but no one paid attention to him as he slipped past the barracks and the training grounds. His mind was focused on one goal: to reveal the truth about Rafi. He reached the office where the commander usually held meetings. The door was locked, but Amir knew there was a side entrance, small and rarely used. He crouched and moved toward it, listening for any sound. The air was cold and damp, carrying the faint smell of ink and paper from the office inside. He took a deep breath and slipped in. The office was quiet, the morning sun casting long shadows across the wooden floor. The commander's desk was empty. Amir carefully placed the papers on top, in a way that would catch the commander's attention when he arrived. He also left a small note. These prove Rafi was innocent. Please read before taking further action. Amir left the office before anyone could notice him. Outside, he ran into Leo, who was waiting near the fence. The dog's ears perked up and his tail moved slightly. Amir knelt and whispered, "Stay here, boy. We will see the right thing happen soon." Leo followed him quietly as they moved toward the open field, but he never strayed far from Amir. The bond he had with Rafi seemed to connect him to Amir now. It was as if he understood that something important was about to unfold. By mid-morning, soldiers gathered for their daily briefing. Major Tariq stood at the front, his face serious as he addressed the unit. Amir arrived a little late, trying not to draw attention. His eyes kept searching for signs that the commander had read the papers. He noticed the commander pacing slowly, reading and rereading the documents. His face changed gradually. The calm, cold expression softened, and his eyes grew heavy with thought. Amir felt a flicker of hope. Finally, the commander called everyone to attention. "Soldiers," he said, his voice firm but controlled. "There has been new information about the recent events and the death of Soldier Rafi. It appears there were mistakes made. Evidence shows that he was innocent of all charges. The man responsible for the false report has been identified." A murmur ran through the soldiers. Many exchanged glances, some shocked, some angry. The commander continued. "Lieutenant Imran submitted a false report that led to Rafi's death. He will be held accountable. This camp will act in full compliance with justice and honor." Amir could hardly believe it. He had hoped the commander would read the papers, but hearing the words aloud gave him a strange sense of relief and sadness at the same time. Rafi would not return, yet his name was cleared. Soldiers who had doubted him felt ashamed. Some had avoided speaking out before, but now there was no hiding the truth. Amir stayed near Leo. The dog was calm but alert. He could sense the shift in the air. Soldiers began walking around with a different energy, as if a weight had been lifted. Conversations were quieter but filled with purpose. They discussed the injustice and the responsibility of the officers. Amir felt proud, yet his chest ached. He wished Rafi could see this. The truth had come, but it had not been enough to save him. After the briefing, Amir took the papers to Major Tariq's office to make sure they were officially recorded. The commander nodded gravely as he accepted them. "This will be added to the official report," he said. "Rafi's name will be cleared in every record. Thank you for your courage, Amir." Amir bowed slightly. "It is what Rafi would have wanted, sir," he said quietly. The commander's eyes softened, but he said nothing more. Later, Amir returned to the kennel to see Leo. The dog ran to him as soon as he saw him, tail wagging slowly. Amir knelt beside him. "Your friend's honor is restored, Leo. They know he was innocent," he said softly. Leo nuzzled his hand. He had not forgotten Rafi, and he would never forget him. But there was a sense of peace in the dog's eyes now, as if the bond between them could never be broken, not even by death. As days passed, Amir made it his mission to care for Leo. He trained him, walked him, and spoke to him daily. He also spoke to the other soldiers about Rafi, telling stories of his bravery, loyalty, and kindness. Slowly, the camp remembered the man who had given everything for them. The truth spread, and Rafi became more than a soldier who had died. He became a symbol of courage and trust. One evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Amir and Leo stood at the edge of the camp, near a small river. Leo's paws sank into the soft mud as he sniffed the water. Amir looked at the horizon. The light reflected in the water was warm and golden, and he imagined Rafi standing there watching them. The image brought tears to his eyes. I hope you are proud of what we are doing, friend, Amir whispered. Leo barked softly, almost in agreement. Amir also began writing letters to Rafi's family, telling them everything he had discovered. He described Rafi's bravery, his loyalty to the unit, and how he had loved and cared for Leo. He told them about the injustice and how the truth had finally come to light. He wanted Rafi's family to know that their son's honor would be remembered forever. Leo sat beside him as he wrote, as if understanding that these words were a bridge between the past and the present. Life in the camp slowly returned to normal, but no one could forget the events. The soldiers who had once doubted Rafi now spoke his name with respect. Imran was being held for investigation, and the consequences of his actions would be severe. Major Tariq made sure that every soldier understood the importance of honesty, loyalty, and courage. He reminded them that one false step could cost lives, and that the name of a true soldier must never be tarnished unfairly. One morning, Amir found a small notebook in the storage room. It belonged to Rafi. Inside, there were notes about training routines, missions, and even small reminders to himself about being brave and kind. Amir took the notebook to Leo and held it open. Leo sniffed it carefully, then pressed his head against Amir's hand. "We will honor him, boy," Amir whispered. "We will never forget." As the sun rose higher, the camp felt lighter. Soldiers moved with purpose. Leo ran beside Amir, and the memory of Rafi seemed to guide every step. Even in death, he had left a mark that could never be erased. His life, his loyalty, and his bond with Leo had inspired everyone who had known him. But the story was not yet fully complete. There were still challenges ahead. Imran had powerful connections, and the camp needed to ensure that justice was done completely. Amir knew it would take courage and patience, just as Rafi had taught him. And as he watched Leo run freely across the field, he felt the silent presence of his fallen friend guiding him, reminding him that honor and truth must always come first. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the sounds of life and hope. Amir and Leo stood together, ready to face whatever came next. The camp was no longer just a place of rules and orders. It had become a place where truth could triumph and where loyalty, even in the darkest moments, would never be forgotten. Weeks had passed since the truth about Rafi came to light. The camp had returned to routine, but the memory of what had happened lingered in every corner. Soldiers spoke more cautiously now, aware of the power of words and reports. Major Tariq made sure that every report was verified and that justice was upheld. The investigation against Lieutenant Imran was ongoing, and the camp awaited the outcome. Amir, however, remained restless. Even though Rafi's name had been cleared, a deep sadness still followed him. He missed seeing Rafi walking through the camp, greeting soldiers with his calm smile and leading Leo during patrols. Leo had become Amir's constant companion. The dog had grown quieter over time, moving with a slow and thoughtful step. Sometimes, Amir would catch him staring at the far end of the camp, as if expecting Rafi to appear. Each morning, Amir would take Leo to the training grounds. They would run, practice obedience drills, and walk along the river. Amir often talked to Leo about Rafi, telling the dog how brave and loyal his friend had been. Leo listened attentively, letting out soft whines at the right moments, as if understanding the stories. The bond between them had grown strong, rooted in memory, loyalty, and respect. One afternoon, Amir received a message from the commander. "Meet me in my office. There is something you need to see." Amir hurried to the office, feeling both anxious and curious. When he arrived, Major Tariq handed him a sealed envelope. "These are letters and statements from soldiers who served with Rafi in past missions," he said. "They want his family to know everything he did and the truth about the events that led to his death. We need someone trustworthy to deliver them." Amir accepted the envelope with care. "I will make sure his family receives them," he said. "They will know the truth about him." "You are doing Rafi's memory justice," the commander said. "Be careful. Some of these documents are sensitive and could create conflict if mishandled." Amir nodded. "I understand, sir." That evening, Amir sat by the river with Leo. The wind blew softly, carrying the scent of wet earth and leaves. He opened the envelope carefully and began reading the letters aloud. Soldiers wrote about Rafi's courage in the field, his kindness to those in need, and the times he had risked his life to save others. Some stories were simple, about how he helped new recruits adjust to army life. Others were intense, describing missions where he had faced enemy fire and emerged victorious while protecting his team. Amir's eyes filled with tears as he read each one. Leo rested his head on Amir's lap, sensing the emotion and offering silent comfort. As days went by, Amir prepared for a journey to deliver the letters to Rafi's family. He packed the documents carefully and ensured that Leo would accompany him. The dog had grown attached to Amir, but there was a silent understanding between them. They were both connected to Rafi in ways that words could not fully capture. Leo seemed aware that this journey was important, that it was a duty to honor his fallen friend. The journey to Rafi's hometown was long and challenging. Amir and Leo traveled through hills, rivers, and small villages. Every night, they camped under the stars. Amir would sit by the fire, reading portions of the letters again, and Leo would lie beside him, alert yet calm. The dog's presence was comforting, reminding Amir of Rafi's bravery and loyalty. In quiet moments, Amir would speak to Leo as if Rafi were listening. "He would have wanted this, boy. We are doing the right thing." Finally, after several days, they reached a small house at the edge of a village. The house was modest, but well kept. Amir knocked on the door. A woman in her 40s answered. Her eyes were kind but tired. "Can I help you?" she asked. "My name is Amir," he said. "I knew Rafi in the army. I have letters and messages from his fellow soldiers. They want you to know the truth about him and what happened." He handed her the envelope carefully. The woman took the envelope with trembling hands. She looked at Amir with a mixture of surprise and curiosity. "Rafi's friend?" she asked softly. Amir nodded. "Yes, ma'am. He was brave and loyal, and many people respected him. His death was a mistake, but the truth has come to light. These letters will show you who he really was." The woman's eyes filled with tears as she opened the envelope. She read quietly, absorbing each story. She looked up at Amir. "Thank you," she said, her voice shaking. "I feared the worst, but now I know he was a good man. He gave everything for others. I will always remember him." Leo stood beside Amir, watching her carefully. When the woman knelt to pet the dog, Leo wagged his tail slowly. The connection between the dog and Rafi's family seemed immediate. They had both lost Rafi, but in this moment, there was shared understanding and comfort. Over the next few hours, Amir spoke to the family about Rafi's life in the army. He told them about his missions, the dangers he had faced, and the respect he earned from his peers. He told them about Leo, his loyal companion, and how the dog had always been by his side. The family listened intently, nodding, smiling, and sometimes crying. The stories painted a picture of Rafi's life, far beyond the brief news that had reached them before. Before leaving, Amir sat quietly with the family. "I promise you," he said softly, "that Rafi's name will never be forgotten. His honor and courage will be remembered wherever I go, and Leo will carry his memory every day." The woman nodded. "Thank you," she said again. "It is the greatest gift to know he was truly loved and respected." Amir and Leo left the house as the sun began to set. The sky was painted with shades of orange and gold. The air was cool and calm, carrying the scent of the village fields. Leo ran ahead briefly, then returned to Amir's side. They walked silently, letting the peace of the evening settle around them. Amir felt a sense of completion, but also a lingering sorrow. Rafi was gone, but his spirit remained alive through the stories, the letters, and the memories of those who loved him. On their way back to the camp, Amir and Leo stopped at the river again. He looked at the water and thought of Rafi. "We did it, my friend. They know the truth now." Leo looked up at him, eyes alert and soft, as if understanding. Together, they stood on the riverbank, feeling the wind, listening to the gentle flow of water and remembering the courage of a man who had given everything for his duty and his friends. Back at the camp, the soldiers noticed a change in the atmosphere. There was a renewed sense of respect and responsibility. Stories of Rafi were shared openly. His life became a lesson in loyalty, bravery, and truth. Leo remained at Amir's side, a living reminder of the bond he had shared with Rafi. The dog's presence comforted many soldiers and reminded them of the power of friendship, loyalty, and courage. As the sun set behind the hills, casting long shadows over the camp, Amir sat with Leo by the training grounds. The dog rested his head on Amir's knee, calm and patient. The wind rustled through the trees, carrying whispers of the past and hope for the future. Amir knew that the memory of Rafi would guide them in the days to come, a quiet strength that inspired everyone who had known him. The bond between man and dog, and the honor of a brave soldier, would live on forever. Months had passed since Amir delivered the letters to Rafi's family. Life in the camp had settled into a quiet rhythm, but the memory of Rafi's courage and loyalty lingered in the hearts of every soldier. Amir continued to care for Leo, who had grown older but remained strong and alert. The dog never left Amir's side, and the bond between them had grown into something unbreakable, a living connection to their fallen friend. One morning, Major Tariq called Amir to the commander's office. "Amir, the investigation is complete," he said, handing him a folder. "Lieutenant Imran has been dismissed from service and charges have been filed. The court ruled that he will face full consequences for his actions. Justice has been served, but it came too late for Rafi." Amir nodded solemnly. "It is as it should be, sir. Rafi's name is cleared and now the truth is official." He felt a mixture of relief and sorrow. Justice could not bring Rafi back, but at least the man responsible would not continue to harm others. After leaving the office, Amir returned to Leo. The dog ran to him immediately, tail wagging, and nuzzled his hand. Amir knelt and stroked his companion's head. "Rafi's honor is safe, boy," he said softly. "We have done everything we can to make sure people remember him the right way." Leo barked once, a sound that seemed almost like agreement, and then rested his head against Amir's knee. Amir decided to organize a small memorial within the camp for Rafi. He spoke to the soldiers, sharing stories of Rafi's courage, his kindness, and the way he had always put others before himself. The soldiers listened in silence, some with tears in their eyes. They shared their own memories, telling of times Rafi had helped them in danger, comforted them in fear, and taught them the meaning of loyalty. Leo sat nearby, alert and calm, his presence reminding everyone of the bond Rafi had shared with him. The memorial became a quiet but powerful moment for the camp. Soldiers placed flowers near the training grounds where Rafi had often trained with Leo. They took a moment of silence, reflecting on the man they had lost and the lessons he had left behind. Amir stood beside Leo, feeling the weight of the moment. The dog's calm gaze seemed to carry the memory of Rafi in every glance. In the following weeks, Amir began working with the new recruits. He trained them in both skill and character, sharing stories of Rafi as examples of courage, loyalty, and integrity. He emphasized the importance of honesty and the consequences of deceit. Leo participated in the training as well, demonstrating discipline and attentiveness. The recruits admired the dog, learning that true partnership and trust could exist between man and animal, just as it had with Rafi. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Amir and Leo sat quietly by the river near the camp. The water reflected the colors of the sky, bright orange fading into soft purples and blues. Amir spoke softly to the dog. "We have done our best, Leo. We have honored Rafi, and now it is our duty to carry his lessons forward." Leo rested his head on Amir's lap, calm and attentive as if understanding the weight of the words. Life in the camp continued, but there was a new sense of hope and responsibility among the soldiers. They remembered that a single false accusation could destroy lives, and they understood the value of loyalty and trust. Amir became a trusted guide for the younger soldiers, always reminding them of Rafi's example. Leo remained by his side, a constant reminder that bonds forged through trust and courage could never be broken. Months turned into a year, and Amir received letters from Rafi's family. They thanked him repeatedly, sharing how much comfort it brought to know the truth and how proud they were of Rafi's legacy. Amir shared these letters with the soldiers in the camp, reinforcing the idea that truth, loyalty, and courage could leave a lasting impact even after death. The story of Rafi became a living memory, a symbol of honor and integrity that guided everyone who knew him. One afternoon, Amir received a message that a new mission was about to begin near the border. He prepared with Leo, reviewing maps and plans carefully. As they checked their equipment, Amir felt a sense of calm determination. He thought of Rafi, imagining how his friend would have approached the mission, with focus, courage, and careful strategy. Leo looked up at Amir, sensing the seriousness in the air. Together they set off, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, carrying Rafi's lessons in their hearts. As they walked toward the mission area, Amir reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the day Rafi had been falsely accused to the moment the truth was revealed, he had learned about loyalty, courage, and the strength of the human spirit. Leo, ever vigilant and faithful, reminded him that the bonds formed through trust and love could endure even the darkest times. Amir knew that Rafi's legacy would live through him, through Leo, and through every soldier who remembered his courage. That evening, after completing the mission safely, Amir and Leo returned to the camp. The stars shone brightly overhead and the wind carried a gentle calm. Amir knelt beside Leo, speaking softly. "We are still here, boy. We will keep going and we will make sure that Rafi is never forgotten." Leo leaned into Amir, resting his head on his shoulder, a silent companion in both sorrow and strength. As days passed, Amir continued to honor Rafi through his actions and words. The camp thrived under a renewed sense of integrity and respect. Soldiers looked to Amir and Leo as examples of loyalty and courage, and the story of Rafi became a beacon of hope for everyone. His name was spoken with pride, his deeds remembered, and his lessons carried forward. Through memory, dedication, and unwavering care, Rafi's spirit lived on, guiding those who had known him and inspiring those who would follow. In the quiet moments, when the sun dipped behind the hills or the river flowed calmly past the camp, Amir would sit with Leo and reflect on their journey. The bond between man and dog, forged in loyalty and love, remained unbroken. And even though Rafi was no longer there in body, his presence was felt in every act of courage, every moment of trust, and every story told by those who remembered him. Together, Amir and Leo carried forward the legacy of a brave soldier whose life, though cut short by injustice, had left a permanent mark on the hearts of all who knew him. The camp, once shadowed by sorrow, now shone with the lessons of honor, courage, and loyalty. Soldiers trained with purpose, knowing that truth and justice mattered above all. And in the stillness of the evening, when the wind moved through the trees and the river flowed gently, Amir and Leo stood together, holding the memory of their friend in their hearts, ready to face the future with strength and hope.